to make your bagels tonight. The bagels taste a little better if you let them sit in the fridge for a day or two. So I would suggest either boil and baking them tomorrow morning or on Thursday morning, whatever day it is. Hi, Mom. So I'm excited to begin. And before I talk about bagels, so it was a Polish bread starter. So they're newer. And the holes in the bagel actually make them cook faster and kind of gives them that crispy crust that we like. And also the hole in the middle made it stackable. So vendors were able to sell them in the street. So those are some fun facts to begin, but let's just dive in. And first and foremost, we're gonna wash our hands for multiple reasons, not just because they were cooking, but also with everything going on. So let's all wash our hands. And I can remind everyone about what exactly we need if you don't have it out quite yet. And I'm gonna have my assistant / fiance make sure that you guys can see what's going down here on the bottom. You guys can see this, right? I think the answer is yes. Ellie, thumbs up. Okay, cool. So this is going to be kind of where the action is to start as we're putting all the ingredients together. All right, so all of our hands are washed. Okay, so we're going to start with proofing 2 teaspoons of yeast in a ½ cup of warm water. We're also going to be adding 4½ teaspoons of granulated sugar. So warm water, what does that mean? I go all the way to the hot water mark and then I turn it just a little bit in. If you want to get technical and you have a thermometer, it's between 105 degrees and 120 degrees, but just hot water from your faucet is just fine. So I would say not till it's boiling hot, but you want it pretty warm. So you're going to put, once again, a ½ cup of hot water, and then we're going to be adding 2 teaspoons of yeast and 4½ teaspoons of granulated sugar. So waiting for my water to get hot. And please, if you do have any questions, feel free to take yourself off of mute, ask away. All right.
Niki, are we putting the yeast and the sugar in the hot water then, yes?
Yes. So once you have a ½ cup of the hot water, you're going to be adding the 2 teaspoons of yeast. And you know, if you have it in a packet, it's really just 1 packet. It turns out to be like a little over 2 teaspoons. So I just leave a teeny bit left in the little packet. If you guys want to know, I love platinum yeast. I get this at Publix. I know not everyone has a Publix, but this is my favorite yeast to use. So I go ahead and I put 2 teaspoons into the hot water, followed by 4½ teaspoons of sugar. So just add it in here. 4½, yeah, 4½ teaspoons of sugar.
How much water?
Sorry?
How much water? My water took a year to get
hot.
hot.
Oh, sorry, a ½ cup of warm water,
Perfect.
2 teaspoons of yeast, and then 4½ teaspoons of the granulated sugar.
Gotcha.
That's gonna get everything going. And it's going to, you'll see that the yeast is going to start foaming at the top after about 5 minutes. So I give it a teeny tiny stir, and then I just kind of set it and forget it. We're gonna put that to the side for about 5 minutes, and the yeast will let us know when it's done. I'll show you guys the consistency it should be before we add it in. Once everyone's done with that part, everyone will actually next need a kind of a large bowl, and it's gonna be our mixing bowl.
When the sugar and the yeast are in the water, are you supposed to stir it and mix it at all, or just leave it?
Mix it just a little bit and then leave it. I know it's going to kind of look like chunky, and that's very normal. All right. Once we have our larger mixing bowl, we are going to take either bread flour or high gluten flour, and you're going to add 3½ cups. Now this will yield 4 really big bagels or 4 normal size bagels. So it depends on kind of what you want. This is an example of a bagel I made just a few minutes ago, just to show you guys. So this is a big bagel. You can see it's just about the size of my face. And this is a bagel that I like. I like it when it's big. It has a nice crust to it. You can kind of knock on it. So this is kind of our goal. If you want a bagel this big, you're going to make 4. If you want them a little smaller, you can make 5 out of these for sure. Okay, so we have 3.5 cups of either high gluten flour or bread flour in your mixing bowl. Once you have that in, you're going to add 2 teaspoons of salt. 2 decently sized teaspoons. Now, I like an everything bagel, like most of you guys. I also like a salt bagel, and I just love salt. So I add a little bit more. I add like a real good hefty size of 2 teaspoons of salt here. And then once you add those into the flour, you're just going to mix it up. You could also whisk it up, either one, either or. So you'll see. I'm going to put my camera down. Real simple. You just mix it on up. Get the salt mixed in there with the flour.
Niki, how many cups of the flour? 3?
3.5 cups of flour.
Okay.
And then 2 teaspoons of salt. And once it's all kind of mixed in, you're going to create this well. So you'll kind of create like a little kind of hole in the middle. You see, I kind of have the flour all around the bowl, and I can see the middle of the bottom of the bowl in the middle. That's where our liquid is going to go. These needs a few more seconds here.
So what haven't we used yet?
What haven't we used yet? We haven't put the yeast and sugar mixture into the dough yet. So now we've used water, flour, sugar, salt, and yeast. We've used all of our ingredients.
Do we use cornmeal for something?
Yes, we're going to. We're going to use that just to save your guys' pans, and also it's just easier cleaning. There are some like bakeries and bagel places in New York that do a ton of cornmeal. I'm sure maybe you guys have had bagels where it kind of has that cornmeal at the bottom. I just purely use it from a cleaning perspective, so it's easy to flip. I like to flip my bagels in the middle, but you guys will see what you like and how your ovens are. I know everyone's ovens are different. Mine surely is. Cooking in this oven is not as good as cooking in an industrial kitchen. I'll just say that.
Can you go over that the well thing one more time? It's just like a hole.
Yeah. So what you're gonna do, and I'm gonna I'll turn mine into a big mix again. So what you're gonna do is you have your salt and your flour like this, mix it on up, and then you're gonna push the flour mixture up against the sides, create a well in the middle. Like this.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. How's everyone doing? Okay. Thumbs up if I can keep going. Okay, cool. So now we have our yeast mixture. And as you guys can maybe see, it has this like foam at the top. So that's how we know that it's ready to be added to the mix. And I'm sorry about the lighting here. I don't know if you guys can see the foam all that well, but do you guys have some foam at the top of your yeast and sugar mixture? Excellent. So I'm just going to give it a very light mix. So just to get the sugar and the yeast kind of mixed up just a little bit more. Very light mix. We don't want to beat it or anything like that. And then we are going to add it into the middle of our well. Pour it all in there. Next, what you're going to get ready is 3/4 cup of cold water. So if we're technical, once again, it's going to be about anywhere from 55 to 60 degrees, which means put your water on cold and we'll get to it after. If you're in my apartment, we'll get to it after about a minute. And you're gonna put 3/4 cup of water in there. Mine's not quite cold enough yet. So you should just have your yeast kind of sitting in the middle of your flour mixture. Can everyone see that? Kind of?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right, it should be just about full enough. So 3/4 a cup of water. We're just going to set it to the side so it's ready for us. And now I know we all wash our hands. We have super clean hands. Bagel making is definitely done with your hands. So next thing you're going to do is start taking the flour and putting it in towards the well. So take the flour and put it in towards that yeast mixture. And you're going to start fluffing it up towards the middle and start getting it mixed in. Should feel a little warm. So it should feel nice and light. We want to kind of get this mixed in first, and then we're going to add the cooler water. Now, if you have a Cuisinart, you can always make it with that too. But I think this is the most fun way to make it, using your hands. You're definitely going to get a little bit of a workout when it comes to the kneading. But I guess it's almost summertime, so it's a good thing. So you'll see it's almost all the way mixed in here. I'm going to start patting it down just a little bit. We're going to start slowly adding in water. So we're going to add probably just like a fourth of the cup, and then we're going to smush it around again. So add a 1/4 of a cup and smush again. The reason why it's so important to add the water slowly is because if you add too much mixture, it's going to too much water, it's going to take more flour. You really want to have a good balance so that you're not drowning out the other ingredients, the sugar and the salt. You kind of want to stick to, it's better to have to add more water than to have to add more flour. So you add the water very, very slowly. So next we're going to add another 1/4 once it's all mixed in. And if anyone wants to like show me their bowl and say, is this right or whatever, feel free. I see, Ellie. Okay. So I'm going to start patting it down, as you can see. And I'm going to start working it in. Now it seems like I'm ready to add more water. I don't feel any moisture. There you go. And has everyone kneaded dough before? Yes, no, yeah, kind of all over the map. Well, it's a workout. So trust me, when I'm making 400 bagels, I'm definitely using a machine to do the kneading part, or else I don't know if my arms would survive. So now I'm adding the rest of the water. And I'm kind of pushing it. Now, if your bowl's wide enough, this should be comfortable to do. If your bowl is not wide enough to kind of push into it, you can always put it on where you're going to be kneading. And now you can see kind of the flour's being picked up by all of the water, taking it off my hands as I go. Cassidy has a friend joining. Come make some bagels. Okay, once all of the flour is picked up and kind of in the dough, we're going to move over to whatever surface you have that is super clean. So if you need a second to wipe off your surface, please do so, because now we are going to be kneading. So go ahead, and I'm going to use this cutting board here. which I cleaned, but now has everything bagel seasoning on it, because every time you make something with everything bagel seasoning, please know it will be everywhere. You will find it everywhere for the next week. But it's worth it because everything bagels are just the best. So the seasoning is worth it. So now we're gonna go ahead and knead, and we're gonna knead for about 10 to 15 minutes. So we want the dough to be a consistency where when you pull it, you can kind of see like a translucent window. And I will show you guys exactly what that means. But the kneading is the hard work. That's where you get the good consistency for your bagels. Now I just washed off some of my stuff on my hands, which you don't need to do, but I figured it'd be easier to see kneading here. So you're going to kind of pull the dough onto it, back up onto the main portion of the dough. Now see, I pull away and then I lift up, pull away, lift up. So you see, I didn't add any more flour onto the baking, onto the cutting board. Like I mentioned, we kind of want to stick, let the ingredients that we already mixed in kind of stick to those, which will help with making our dough kind of that perfect bagel consistency. So you'll see I'm kind of pushing up onto the surface and then bringing it back. And this is kneading. And now I'm going to have Google here set a timer. Hey, Google, set timers for 10 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes. So I'm using a timer now, but we'll also be able to kind of tell when it's ready. And I'll show you guys exactly what that looks like. But this is definitely the hardest part. This is a labor of love. This is why I think most people don't make bagels on their own all the time. And why we go and buy them for $1 or $2, because this part is really hard, but it's also really fun. And you'll see as you're working your dough, it's going to become kind of softer in your hands. So you'll see it's push out and bring it back up onto itself. Now, if at this point, we've been doing it now for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes. If you feel as though dough is a living, breathing thing, and how much water and flour you actually need, the exact amount changes based on the weather. And I know that we're kind of located all over the place. So if you feel as though right now your flour is super dry and it's not kind of getting like a softer feel, you can go ahead and add a teeny bit of water, not even a fourth a cup of water. I would say, like, I'm going to show you guys. You're going to add water. There's no measuring cup for it, but you'll see, you just add a teeny bit of water as you go. As I mentioned, it's much better to have to add a little bit more water than to have to keep adding flour. So keep really pushing into it.
If it's very sticky, should I add a little bit of water, or that's a good thing?
That's a good thing. So what's happening now is kind of the gluten's coming alive. And if it feels really, really sticky, I'll say when we have like another 3 minutes, if it's still feeling a little sticky, I'm going to have you add a teeny bit more flour. But what's happening is we're making the gluten. Are you using high gluten flour or the bread flour?
Bread.
Okay, then you should be fine. You should be able to add just a teeny bit more. And when I say teeny bit more, I mean take like a sprinkle and add it in. But I think if we wait a few more minutes, it should be good. If your dough is too sticky, that means that you probably need to just knead it for longer. I tried to form the dough and do things to the dough before I add any more ingredients. Ellie's dough's looking awesome. How's everyone's dough looking?
I don't know.
Hey, oh yes, you slap the dough, slap the bag. I know you've done that at Penn State. Here you go.
Wait, so I was just looking at everyone. I'm the only person here right now that's in Maryland. So everyone's from a different place and in different places right now. We have people from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, but in Maryland right now, Georgia, and New Hampshire, which is so cool. And
When's
then
in New Hampshire?
right?
I've never been to New Hampshire before. I heard it's lovely.
Come visit.
That's great. Hi, Dad. I see my dad come in, making a celebrity appearance. Knowing my little sister, that's okay. So right now I'm saying, okay, we've been kneading for about 5 minutes. And right now I'm pulling it. It's becoming a little bit harder to break, but it's still not ready. So let's keep going. Ellie, you're very close. I see you're working that dough really well. Yeah. So we don't want it to break easily when you pull at it. Yeah, Cassidy, it looks good. Yes, that's starting to look really good.
God bless. I thought I was falling behind here.
You guys are doing awesome. Anyone's arms getting tired?
Yeah, I'm getting ripped tonight.
The bagels are worth it, I promise. And you can say I made my own bagels, and you put it on social, and everyone's gonna say how.
So
I try to change up my arms every so often just to preserve, so I don't have too big of an arm on one side. Or do it together as well.
Nick, I do have a question. Mackenzie gets her favorite bagel is blueberry. If you're doing that, do you like just bake it into the dough if you're doing like a chocolate chip?
That's a great question. And I know that there was also someone, I'm sorry, I can't remember who liked cinnamon raisin bagels the best. So those two types of bagels need to be, you need to put the ingredients in right before we do this part. So if you like cinnamon raisin bagels, the reason I kind of lean towards poppy, everything sesame, plain, because it all has the same dough and it's just about the toppings. But if you want to make blueberry or you want to make cinnamon raisin, which I make for Jessie all the time, that's one of some of her favorites, you do have to add in the cinnamon and the raisins right before we do this part, so that it's really, really integrated. And I would say don't be shy with the cinnamon. Put a lot of cinnamon. I usually put like 5 teaspoons in there, and it seems like it's going to be a lot, but they're really cinnamony and delicious and have raisins, so it's all a good thing. And you know what? I do have to try a blueberry bagel. I know that it would be about adding in a little bit more sugar and also adding in the blueberries, but I have yet to make those. So I'm going to learn it and I'll circle back. I never knew about blueberry bagels really before I said I was opening up a bagel shop, and everyone kept saying, do you have blueberry? I said,
have you ever heard of peanut butter bagels?
I'll have to. Yeah. So as you see, now we're pulling it. Still needs a little bit more work. You guys are doing awesome. Takes a lot of kneading. How's it going, Mackenzie? You getting there?
Yeah, it's going well. It's my dough is still breaking apart like pretty easily.
Sorry, what'd you say?
My dough still breaks apart pretty easily, I think. So
yeah, we just gotta keep kneading it out. I know. You guys didn't realize this is a bagel making class and a workout. Sorry, snuck up on you.
Ma, how's your bagel? I mean your dough. Soon to be bagel. Oh, great.
It's going.
It's going, I know. Takes a little bit of time here.
It's easier to make dough for put pie.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
Does everybody know what putt pie is, or is that a Pennsylvania thing?
Does everyone know what it is?
Like chicken pot pie, but we say putt pie.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
It's homemade noodles.
Yum.
Like big, thick, square noodles.
Ooh, I'll take that class. You just let me know when.
That's not a
I
bad
have a
idea.
50-pound bag of dough that sits right there.
You won't have to eat a lot.
Yeah. I have a professional taste tester. I have a fiance who loves bagels. He tries all of my bagels. And I've also been, until I get approved from the Department of Agriculture, which takes a little bit of time here in Atlanta, I've been giving them out to the community and saying, I'll give you a free bagel if you give me your thoughts. So I think people in Atlanta separately, and I lived in New York for 7 years after college, and bagels there were huge, and people down here, I guess, are used to smaller bagels, not as chewy. So had to make them a little bit less chewy. I boil them for a little bit less time than I used to, and I will show you guys how to do that. It is a traditional way to make a bagel, is boiling and then baking. So it gives it its really nice crust, and also gives it its nice chew. But you don't want to break a tooth. You don't want it to be too chewy.
I'm sweating.
Sorry?
I'm sweating.
Yep. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. That's why wear a t-shirt while you're doing it. Get comfortable. It is definitely not easy. And once again, this is why I think people tend to go out to get their bagels rather than make it. But it sure is quite an art to be able to make it on your own. So let's see how it's going here. All right, I'm almost at that translucent window. Chris, that's looking, oh, is that Chris? Oh, Devin, is your name Devin? There we go. Yours is looking real good. You might almost be ready to start making the small dough balls. And you'll see, if mine's not quite where Devin's is, but you can see how, yes, exactly. There's like, as he pulls it apart, it doesn't completely, that is a beautiful translucent window right there. That's insane. That looks really good. Have you made bagels before? No, hasn't. Wow. All right. So that's kind of what we're shooting for. And we gotta just keep on going, team. We're almost after this. We're gonna form 4 or 5 small dough balls, and then we're going to shape the bagels. And then you guys are gonna let them sit, and I'll show you guys how to boil and bake. But just keep on keeping on. Really work into your surface. And I'm sorry, I can't remember your name, who said it was too yeasty. Did you, is it starting to be less yeasty or less sticky?
Oh yeah.
Kenzie, or yeah, sorry?
No, it definitely is less sticky now.
Okay, great. Yeah. That's a sign that it's gonna proof really well.
Good news.
Let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and start boiling my water, and I'll tell you guys about that in a second.
Rick, I'm glad you asked that because mine was struggling too. It was all over my fingers.
Yeah, sometimes I'll wash it off midway, and sometimes I won't. But it's definitely not, definitely very, very messy at times. But once you start really getting into kneading, you shouldn't have anything on your hands. It should be able to be super flexible and not stick on your hands too much. And once again, if at this point it's still sticking to your hands at all, please sprinkle a teeny tiny bit of flour. Any other questions? Everyone's just waiting for their dough to be ready to form. I know you guys are killing it.
If we were to do it before it was finished, like how would the bagel turn out?
Oh, that's a fair question. And it's one that I used to tool with before I actually had a mixer. And I was like, what if I just leave it? You know, it won't proof as well as it should. There's kind of 2 methods to let it proof. Some people just take their dough ball, put it in an oiled bowl, and then cover it and let it proof for about 45 minutes to an hour. My method is that I actually let it proof in the form of a bagel. I found that that's easier to start boiling and baking right when it's ready, rather than having to form them and then let them proof again, which you'll have to do. So I would go with my method, but They just won't rise as well as they could. You won't get as thick of a bagel. It'll be a little thinner. But hey, some people like thinner bagels, so also okay. I also, for any bagels that I mentioned shortly when I mentioned my sister has had them before, any bagels that I don't eat, or say I make a really big batch and I don't have enough friends to eat all of them, it's not really a food that you can just eat 1,000 of them and not turn into one. So I turned mine into bagel chips. So after about a 3-day bagel, my bagels last for about 3 days unless you want to freeze it, or you can turn it into a bagel chip. And turning it into a bagel chip means the fully formed bagel, you just cut them into slices. All you have to do is put a little olive oil down and you add some salt on top, and you put it in the oven for about 350 degrees for 20 minutes, and they are absolutely delicious, if I do say so myself. And also Jessie can vouch for those as well. So if you make 4 bagels and you have one that's left, go ahead and try to make a bagel chip afterwards. Once again, you just cut it up into like thin slices. You add olive oil and salt, put about 350 for about 20 minutes. And those stay for another 5 days. So it's a very eco-friendly food. Ellie, yours looks really good. You want to do a quick pull? I think yours is, oh yes. Ellie's, you can kind of like see through it. It has that translucent. That's great.
I'm actually sweating right now. This is
Yeah.
I'm actually sweating. Wait, Nikki,
Yeah, I'm gonna go for about 2 more minutes.
Jen.
And then I think all of our dough should be, if it's not completely there, should be almost there. Everyone's been working super hard to get that translucent window going.
Nikki, I had a question for you.
Yes.
So when did you decide? I didn't realize until you and I talked about this that you were actually like starting a business. I just thought bagel making was a hobby.
Yeah.
That's like super cool. So when did you decide that was like a new venture of yours, and then how did you come up with the name?
Yeah, so I decided when I was driving about 45 minutes to go get big, chewy New York style bagels. They do not come easy and often in Atlanta. So my fiance and I said to him, instead of driving 45 minutes, what if I tried to make them? This was during quarantine, mid-quarantine. And I said, what if I try to make them? And to my surprise, after following a recipe, it wasn't a pretty looking bagel, but out came a bagel, and I was shocked because I never thought to make them. You don't really think to make bagels. And so I started making more, getting better at it. And I would have my friends come over, and I had brunches, and I had people starting to try the bagels. And then they were giving the bagels to their parents and the parents' friends, and then people started requesting them. And I said, there's a real business here. So right outside of my apartment, Mackenzie will know what this is the Beltline of Atlanta. It's a pedestrian path that has a bunch of breweries and restaurants, and there's no bagel place. So I said, I'm ready to do a mobile business that's going to be offering it kind of out of a cart in the beginning. And then hopefully I'm going to be doing events, bar and bat mitzvahs and weddings and anywhere where there's a brunch. So for a group. Jessie, do you have a question or did you want to say something? I don't know how to get Jessie off of mute. Ellie, if you do.
Yeah. Hey, Juice, you know how to unmute your microphone? Can you?
Yes.
There you go.
So when I can help you with the bagel?
Jessie is going to be a big part of my bagel business. I'd like to get to a place where I can hire Jessie and maybe one of her friends to help me with the bagel business. Yes. She's
My buddy is a wonderful friend of mine.
And Ellie is a wonderful person, absolutely. All right. So, you asked a question?
Yeah, so if we wanted to do this in the food processor next time, how long do you usually do it for?
Great question. So I use a dough hook, and I have my Cuisinart, and I will do it. It takes about 8 minutes.
What does the dough hook look like?
Oh, a dough hook. I'll show you exactly. So you'll add in the same things. You'll use your yeast. You'll add in the yeast mixture. Yep, and then you'll put it on like a very low, the lowest setting for about 3 or 4 minutes until everything's mixed in. Then put it on the second lowest setting for about, I'd say 7 or 8 minutes.
So not really a food processor, but more of a mixer?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, it would be a mixer.
Oh, okay. I don't think I.
But it looks like you have a really good dough guy next to you. So I don't know if you need that. No, he's like, oh, I don't want that.
He's sweating.
So how does everyone's dough look? Let's see it. Oh yes, his have been ready for a long time. Oh my gosh, amazing. Look at Ellie's. Look at Ellie's with the, it's amazing. You guys, this looks so freaking good. Okay. All right, next thing we're gonna do is you're gonna have your dough in like a nice smooth ball. So make it in a nice smooth ball like this. And let me just put it down a little bit so you guys can see it. And I'm gonna make four bagels out of this. Like I mentioned, the bagel that we'll make is like, this is my hand. This is the bagel. So it is very, very big, as you guys can see. But I'm gonna make 4. So I kind of have this fancy tool to slice, but you can very well use a knife, and you're just gonna cut it into 4 or 5 even slices. Whatever you want. If you want to make some smaller bagels, we're going to kind of separate them out. So next thing you're going to do is you're going to take each bagel piece and you're going to turn it into a dough ball. So you're going to kind of pull it onto itself and tuck it. So pull and tuck. So it has this nice kind of smooth surface, and then we're going to roll the bottom of it. So roll the bottom of it. You're going to pull it up onto itself again. So kind of pull towards yourself while pushing into the surface. And I know that's kind of difficult to understand, and it is difficult to explain, but you're just going to push the ball into the surface to create this dough ball. And you want to try to close up any space that you see or any cracks and close it up. Now there's 2 ways we can make the bagels, and I'll show you both ways. I tend to do the poke method rather than the log method, but it is a personal preference. So now you see we have a beautiful dough ball that is nice and smooth all the way around. And we're going to do that to all 4 dough balls here. I'll go ahead and do this next one. So once again, you fold up and under. I can see the mixture is boiling. Perfect. And you're going to go ahead and push it into the surface and roll it towards you. So once again, a nice smooth. And don't worry if all of them are not the same size. These are handmade, hand rolled. So as you can see, this one's bigger than this one, and that's okay. It's made with love. And they're, you know, if we wanted them to be equal, we'd have to use a machine. So I think there's something beautiful about the way that bagels sometimes look a little different from each other. You're gonna, once again, pull it up onto itself. Yes. And then push it in. How's everyone's dough balls going? Let's see some of them. Beautiful. Honestly, you guys rock. This is looking real good. You're gonna be delicious. You guys are almost there. You're almost there. We're forming the bagels right after this. All right. Now, once everyone is done making the 4 rolls, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Everyone's done with their dough balls. I'll wait another few minutes. We're going to form the bagels. Our last little step here. And then I'm going to show you guys what to do once your bagels are proof. Once again, you can do it in 45 minutes. If you want it, I'm ready to go. You want to have a bagel dinner, that's cool, late bagel dinner. Or you can go ahead and put them in the fridge as is, take them out, wait till they get to room temperature. So you're gonna wanna wait about 30 to 45 minutes to make sure they're room temperature before putting them in. And how do you know that they're proof? Once again, if you push on it and it bounces back to you, that's a good sign. The other thing you can do is kind of this old school trick. So I'm going to show you. You go ahead and you just fill up a bowl of water. And then you're going to put your bagel in. And you see if it floats. If it floats, that means it's proof and ready to be boiled and baked. If it doesn't float, that means it needs a little bit more time. So as you can see here, I'm about to boil and bake these, and this little guy's floating, so he's ready to go. I'm gonna go to the bottom.
What
So once
temperature?
again, your bagel is ready when it floats in a bowl of water.
Should it be like cold water or hot water to check on?
Oh, it doesn't matter. Room temperature is good.
Okay.
Okay, so back to the bagel bowls here. We're gonna form our bagels. So the method that I know and love and do for my bagels is I do the poke through method. So I go to the middle of the bagel. I just poke my fingers right through, and then I start to massage my hand around the side and pull the bagel. So kind of pull it while you're creating that circle. And make this hole bigger than you think it needs to be. Because when your bagel's proof and they get bigger, the hole will get smaller. So as you can see, I'm making a quite big hole here. Great job, Ellie. Is everyone doing okay with the bagel forming part of it? Excellent. And this is when you're gonna take your pan and put some parchment paper down and go ahead and take some cornmeal and spread it onto there. Like that. And try not to crowd your pan. Give your pan space to breathe. Give your bagel space to breathe. You don't kind of want them sticking onto each other. You want, and that goes for the same for baking them. You want to give them a little bit of room in between so they can grow. So this is a nice big hole here, and you're going to put it right on your baking sheet. The other method you could do, which I'm sure that other people also have seen before, is the log method. So I create a log out of my bagel like this. Now this takes more time, but it is the way that they do it in Manhattan. So if you ever watched a video or saw how Tompkins Square Bagels or Essa Bagels, they actually have professionals that are bagel rolling people, and they'll go from bagel spot to bagel spot, and that's what they do. They roll these bagels, and they can do it very, very quickly in the log format. So you don't need to do it this way. I'm just showing you the other way to do it. You roll it out. And then you have it in your hand. You're gonna have the two sides touch on the back of my hand. Turn my hand over and I roll it out so that it forms together. And then again, make sure that forms together nicely, doesn't break apart. And you create that nice big hole in the middle. How's everyone doing? Let me see some of the bagels. Amazing. You guys, these look so good. This is awesome. This is awesome. Okay, great. So I'll give everyone another minute or two. I'm going to do my poke through method because honestly, it's faster and it's lighter on the hands. And then I will show everyone how to boil, top, and bake, which is the final steps here.
And what do we do with the cornmeal?
You're just going to take it and sprinkle it onto your pan that you're going to put your bagels onto. So just very lightly. And that just also helps with moving the dough, especially because you have to pick it up once you are going to boil and bake it. And let's see here. All right. See, I think everyone's almost done, right? And if it's helpful, I know that Ellie has everyone's contact information. This next part, if you want, or you can write it down. If you want the details about this next part, I can totally give them to Ellie to email, but it's pretty simple. See, when you break everything down, it's not that hard. There's not that many ingredients, but it is a labor of love for sure. Okay. So now you have your bagels formed, as you guys know. And what you're going to do now is you guys are going to set your bagels aside. You're going to have to let them proof for about 45 minutes, and you're going to cover them with plastic wrap. So you're going to let them sit out for about 45 minutes. You're going to want to let them sit out even if you are going to be putting them in the fridge overnight, because you want to let your bagels proof. So regardless, if you're making them tonight, again, wrap them, put some cellophane wrap over the top, some clear wrap, plastic wrap. And if you don't have plastic wrap, you can also take a warm dish towel and put it on top of that as well. That works really, really well. Once 45 minutes, 50 minutes, you can go ahead and do that trick where you put some water in a bowl. Does it float? If it floats, it's ready to proof. If it doesn't, gotta wait another, I'd say about 10 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes until it does. So now we're gonna talk about boiling. Like I mentioned, some bagel places boil, some do not. It is definitely the old school New York way to boil and then bake the bagels. So in here, I have about 10 to 12 cups of water and 4 tablespoons of sugar. And what that does is that helps a little bit with the brown color and makes it really, really crispy on top. Like I mentioned, you can kind of, with my bagels, you can like knock them and kind of hear something. And then when you open them up, they're super chewy and have kind of those air holes. That's what you want inside. And I see, is someone trying to ask a question? Oh. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is, so we have our 4 tablespoons of sugar in here, and we have our 10 to 12 cups of water. And what you're gonna do is you're only gonna boil on each side for about a minute. If you like your bagels less chewy, boil them for about 45 seconds on each side. If you like them more chewy, you can boil for about a minute and 15 seconds. I wouldn't go over that. So you definitely want to get your water to a boil, let it go down just a little bit so it's still, moving. And then you're going to put your bagel in there and you're going to let it sit for about 45 seconds. And I'm going to get my toppings ready here, which I have in a bowl. Now I like no shortage of toppings. So I have here sesame, and then I also have everything bagel seasoning. And like I mentioned, after 45 seconds, you're going to turn it over. And I see, you guys can see I did this with a skimmer. That makes it super easy. So I have my everything bagel seasoning. As we know, everything bagel seasoning now is kind of like everywhere. It was all the rage. I know at Trader Joe's, they have really, really good everything bagel seasoning. So you can use those, but if you want to make your own everything bagel seasoning, you can do that too. It's poppy seeds, sesame seeds, black sesame seeds, minced dried garlic, dried onion, and sea salt. So as you can see, there's a good amount of ingredients in there. So I would suggest, unless you're opening your own shop, to go ahead and get the pre-made everything bagel seasoning. So you'll see I pulled this out of the boiling water and I let it sit in the skimmer for about 30 seconds. And then what I'm gonna do is, and I'm gonna go back kind of to the station over here. That's gonna be easiest. And you guys will see, I just dropped the bagel right into the bowl. So I do this for a few reasons. Some people like to take the seasoning and just put it on top. I like a bagel that has like so much seasoning that it's basically like I'm getting bagel on my seasoning rather than seasoning on my bagel. And I mentioned I love salt. So I take a second here and I kind of move it around to make sure it gets in there, and then I flip it over. And as you can see, the entire bagel is coated with everything bagel seasoning. So I'll go ahead and do this one more time. Then you're just gonna lift it up like this, and you're gonna put it right back on the parchment paper, right back where there's a little bit of cornmeal on there as well. Once again, that's for ease of cleaning, and also just moving the bagels around. So I'm gonna do this one more time, actually 2 more times. I would suggest boiling one bagel at a time, depending on your pan that you're using, on your pot. And I say that because, like I mentioned, you got to give the bagels room. You don't want to inhibit their growth by having too many bagels in the boiling pot at once. You want to kind of let it do its thing. If you're on a time suck, then just go ahead and boil them together. But it's better if you let them do them one at a time. So we've done it for about 25 seconds. Give it another 20 seconds. Anyone have any question about the boiling and baking process? You're gonna bake them at 425 for 25 to 30 minutes. And I'm giving a general rule of thumb. I like to flip them 10 minutes before they're done, which gives them that really nice, beautiful brown color on each side. As you can see, this bagel that I'm sure will be eaten right after this. It has that nice brown, crispy with that inside that has a bunch of air holes in it from all of our hard work. So, flip this over. I'm sure everyone, for the most part, is going to maybe do everything bagel seasoning. I love sesame seeds. People sleep on sesame, don't sleep on sesame. They're so good. Add some tuna on there. Yeah, okay, there we go. So once again, now the bagel's in here for a little bit. Yes?
I do think it would be super beneficial to like write the steps out. I know I would benefit if I'm not going to do it tonight and I can send it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
If anyone missed anything, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
Just
I'm going to move this back and go ahead, as I mentioned before. I'm just going to dump this bad boy right in there. Start moving it around a little bit. You can let it sit for a second if it's super hot. Yeah, you don't have to wait to burn yourself or anything like that. Some people will do an egg wash or something on it. But if you put the bagel into the seasoning right away, the sugar from the water helps all the seasoning stay. So there's no reason why you should have to do an egg wash. And yes, my bagels are vegan. They are plant-based. They are very carb heavy. So everything anyone could need, right? So once again, both sides are super seasoned. And just make sure all of the excess are off because you don't want this to burn in the oven. And then you place it on your pan. And then once again, 425 for 25 to 30 minutes. Cook them 10 minutes before they come out. Let them cool. I know it's really, really hard to. Let them cool for at least 2 or 3 minutes before you dive in. And add your schmear, add your tuna fish, add whatever you like to the bagel. And I'm so excited. Please send me pictures of how they turn out. Tag at Beeline Bagels so I can see. And I just appreciate y'all joining and learning how to make bagels. I don't have any other questions.
Reached out to you, Sean, but
No other questions. This was so great. You said we can find you on Instagram at Beeline Bagels.
Yes, at Beeline Bagels. I just created my logo. Well, my very talented friend created my logo. Hold on. I just got my logo from my very talented friend, and I just posted it, and I'm getting some professional photos taken of the bagels this weekend. I'm very excited. So you'll see more coming. And Mackenzie, you have to come visit me for some free bagels.
I'll be up and down the Beltline looking for that cart. Thank you.
I love it. And please feel free, if you have any other questions, Ellie has my contact information. I can answer them, or you need a refresh. But I really appreciate everyone joining and learning how to make bagels.
Totally. Niki, thank you so much. This was seriously so much fun. I'll get all information from Niki and send everyone an email after this by the end of this evening, just with all of her information so you guys can follow her and check her out, as well as the rest of the steps for the bagels, just in case anyone missed anything. And seriously, guys, this was so much fun. Definitely worked up a sweat. I know I saw some other people like smiling and like didn't know it was gonna be like this, but it's so fun and having fun. So it's really cool to just create community and come together to do things that we would do on a regular Tuesday night, you know. But I'm so glad that you guys were all here. Niki, thank you so much. You're so talented, and I'm excited.
Thank you so much, Ellie, for creating this platform. This is so awesome. I can't wait to take classes. So thank you for letting me be a part of it. This is awesome.
Thank you, thank you. Well, everyone have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for being a part of this, and be on the lookout for that email with all that additional information. So thank you so much, guys, for being here.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bagels.
Thanks, Ellie.
Thanks.